Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It's Tuesday, March 9th. I'm Jeff here with my friends Al and Stephanie. Stephanie, you're looking extra bright today.
I know. Well, you're always picking on me, saying I look dark and gloomy.
You know what? It's true. You look like springtime.
Springtime for all of today, and then tomorrow I'm back to the dark colors again.
Well, you know what? Get the dark colors out because it's supposed to snow 5 feet by Friday here in Denver.
Great news to kick it off, Jeff.
A little weather report before we start the day. Okay, let's get started because everyone's still talking about the royal family. They are in crisis after Meghan and Harry's tell-all interview with Oprah. It aired last night in Britain, and more than 11 million Brits tuned in to watch. Could I say Brits? Are you offended by that?
No, and just for the record, that might not sound like a lot of numbers compared to America, but in the UK, that's pretty much every single household.
But Brits, I could say.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, just double checking these days.
There you go.
After holding talks with the entire family yesterday, the Queen has finally released a statement saying the whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan. The issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will also be much loved family members. There was an ED on there, past tense. Meantime, Prince Charles was seen out yesterday making his first public appearance since the interview, and one reporter even asked him about it. Let's take a look.
Sir, can I ask, what did you think of the interview?
Hi, sir. Thank you.
All right, Kate Middleton also made a public appearance via video conference celebrating International Women's Day. According to royal experts, she's devastated by the interview, but you'd never know by looking at her. So what do you think, Steph, of the Queen's statement and all that other stuff going on?
I think the Queen obviously had to address this. There's no way that she could sweep this one under the rug, as they do a lot of scandal, as we know.
Prince Andrew. That was even planned.
Although, you know, both are equally just as serious in very different ways.
Yes.
But I think, you know, the royal family have to address this. And I remember saying a long time ago, you know, the royal family are very antiquated. They are out of touch, and they needed something to bring them into the 21st century if they're going to continue to reign as they do. But I didn't expect it to be in this way, but something had to happen. And you mentioned Kate. I mean, I thought she would have possibly addressed it herself, but she would have been told she wouldn't have been allowed to. So up until very recently, they couldn't even publicly support a football team.
Well, let me get a pulse.
So if they can't even say who they support, how do you expect them to really go into detail about this?
And we learned that from the interview from Meghan. So let me do this, Steph, because we got a pulse of what's going on here in America. I would say the majority of people are with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, right?
Yeah.
What is the pulse like in the UK? Are they with the Queen and against Harry and
There was
Meghan?
a bit of a poll on this, actually, and 40% of people said they were with the Queen and the monarchy.
In the UK?
And 24% were with Harry and Meghan, and 24% said they didn't give a monkeys.
No monkeys.
No monkeys given. So, I mean, I think it's very split. What everyone in America needs to remember is, okay, it might seem very old, and there are certain aspects that desperately need to change. There's no doubt about it. America's only like not even 250 years old. My house in England that my parents live in is older than America.
Really?
But yes. And so it's kind of like, I know it might sound very confusing, and the way of going about things is very, it needs updating, it needs modernizing, and certainly these issues of race desperately need to be addressed. There's no skirting around that. But, you know, I understand people say, why is there the monarchy? Why do they even need to do this? But it's part of our history. It's what gives our people hope, you know. Our monarchy got us through world wars and are a symbolism of hope for so many countries around the world. So, and it cost us £1.28 each household, so it's nothing. We're going to keep them. They're not going nowhere.
I just like that the world's focused on someone else other than us right now.
That's great.
Keep it over there. Sorry, Steph. And, that was our royal expert, so I'm going to get your take on this next story, Al. Gwyneth Paltrow is coming across as relatable to a lot of people, so hold on here. During her In-Goop Health at Home Summit event, oh boy, Gwyneth admitted during the pandemic she gained 14 pounds from wine, pasta, cheese, and crackers. Does that say Jeff or Gwyneth? Because I did the same thing. She also had, her gut was also a mess, and she didn't want to do anything about it because all that eating was getting her through the lockdown. I would guess some comfort food, just like me. She eventually did do something about it and lost 11 pounds through an intuitive fasting program. The diet included a week of drinking bone broth and no alcohol. I don't suggest that at all. But what do you think about this, Al?
I don't suggest that either, Jeff. And it's just like we keep, for our whole lifetimes and 100 years after we're gone, somebody will have their lose weight in 11 days program. And unfortunately, if it worked, people would be doing it. No, it's not like we just discovered bone broth or just discovered fasting. You need to change your diet if you want to feel better. I tried to start working out. It's not fun. I have to trick myself. I have to force myself, but it's unpleasant.
Right.
But that's what you have to do to get to where you want to go. And when telling people this could be bad for their nutrition. And she's not a doctor or a nutritionist. Last I checked, Steph.
No, I'm with Al. And like Al said, having a varied diet is obviously super important. And there's only so much bone broth you can take. And like, you're going to feel terrible.
Well, you're starving your body of nutrients.
You're
That's why
going to be
you're
so
losing weight.
hungry. You're going to be so hungry. And I'm all for cutting out alcohol. You know, that's going to be really good for not only your organs, like your clarity, how you think and feel, of course, amazing. But only surviving off bone broth, I think, is pretty bad advice.
Nutrition is $1 billion industry, right? All these exercise equipments, this and that. The brass tacks, bottom line, is calories in, calories out. Eat a clean diet, you cut out the alcohol, or at least slow down these things. Look at me, calling the kettle black over here because I put on 14 pounds of cheese and crackers and wine. But I do try to take my health serious, but that's not a good one. But I do relate with her, and I think a lot of people do, with the eating a lot during the pandemic.
Right, it's just the losing.
But that diet, I tried that. Remember when you put the lemon juice in with the cayenne pepper?
Oh, you did that?
I did that for 2 days. And I called my buddy who's a nutritionist. I'm like, hey, I'm on this diet. And while he was talking to me, he's like, dude, you got to eat. And I already had a sandwich. I was like, already eating. I'm like, I'm off this thing. There's no good for you.
You can't
do it.
You can't do it. No good. Let's take it from the experts who don't know anything about fitness. Coming up on DBL, UFOs, Area 51, the Roswell incident. Is there a massive alien cover-up? 2 experts weigh in the Jeff Files. You don't want to miss it. Plus, the world is bracing for the final season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. We got a sneak peek at the farewell next. Woo!
Closed captioning provided by
and Doug.
Welcome back to DBL. The end is near for the Kardashians. The final season of their reality show is set to air next week. In a preview, we learned that Khloe and her on-again, off-again boyfriend Tristan Thompson are considering having a second child together with the help of a surrogate. Let's take a look.
You're trusting the surrogate with your unborn child, and it's just scary.
Talking about having another child together, but you don't want to say you're official.
I'm not no like secret.
Kim, who had 2 children via surrogacy, is also shown sobbing and saying she feels like a loser. So could this have something to do with her divorce?
Ooh.
I'm guessing so.
Maybe.
Listen, we say this all the time. Say what you want about the Kardashians. They're masters of marketing. Masters of marketing.
So you're not buying that, Steph?
No, I think obviously, I'm sure there is an element of truth to every single thing that they do, you know, but it will be, we're naive if it's not massively amped up to the cameras. You know, they're masters, they're pros at this point. They've done 15 seasons. They know what they're doing.
I guess it is kind of relatable in the sense that this is her second marriage or third? She had like that, didn't she have like a weird one in there?
She was married to the Chris Humphries for like
90 days. Yeah, that's it.
But then who was the other one? Kanye, wasn't
no,
there
was
like a
Kanye,
weird one?
and there was another one before. There was another gentleman before Chris.
Reggie Bush.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, they were only dating. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
No, I feel like she was married before.
You know
maybe
what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Britney Spears. Didn't she get married in Vegas for like a day?
That was her childhood friend.
Yeah, I got it confused. I thought it was Kim Kardashian. Anyways, that's relatable, right? And what Khloe is going through, I think, is very relatable via surrogacy in today's talk.
Yes, I mean, I know people that have literally mortgaged their future to have a child. And it's this thing where no matter how much money you make, it's not enough. You know, and depending on how many cycles you go, how many rounds it takes, it can A, be super expensive, but B, be devastating on the back end if it's not successful.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult thing, and I think we're finally at the point, Steph, where we can look, and no matter how you feel about the Kardashians, you can know what the drive it is to be parents, to be a mother, and you know, to feel like you might be denied that. So I hope a lot of people at least show empathy with that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, just because they're rich doesn't mean they don't have problems. They don't have wishes and desires. And you know, Khloe is of an age where she is in her late 30s, and you know, at that point, it is harder to have a child. And just because she gave birth to True naturally doesn't mean that she's going to be able to give True a sibling. And that she's spoken honestly about that before, saying, you know, her and Tristan's relationship has been up, down, in, out, on, off, whatever.
But Truth hasn't.
But true, but
You know?
she just wants her daughter to have a sibling, and I understand that, and she wants it with the same father, and she wants them to make it work and then be a family. I'm sure there's plenty of people at home that also are in that experience. You know, they want to keep the family unit together. It's hard.
Yeah, and not put her body through that if that's her choice, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's very expensive, and that's something most people can't relate to. But they're making it relatable, and I applaud them for that. All right, guys, coming up on DBL, UFOs and the mysteries of intelligent life in outer space. I love it. Is the government covering up their existence? Don't miss the Jeff Files next.
March 2020 was mad, all right. Many sports leagues cutting their season short or canceling altogether due to the coronavirus pandemic. But one of the first major hits to the sports world came when the NCAA called off March Madness for the first time ever. The NCAA had hoped to go forward with the tournament with increased COVID measures like no fans, but was forced to cancel just days before the official tip-off. Fast forward to 2021, March Madness is set to get underway, but this year, the big dance is going to look like no other. The biggest change? All games to be played in Indiana, with most of the 67 matchups taking place in Indianapolis. Normally, the tournament sends teams to venues all across the country. When it comes to safety, all players and staff will be under strict COVID-19 guidelines. This means testing negative before arriving in Indiana, wearing contact tracing devices, social distancing, and wearing masks. As for fans, a limited number will be allowed to attend games, but only at 25% capacity. And that's connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. UFO and alien conspiracies have been around forever. So whether you're a believer or a skeptic, we're one step closer to finding out the truth. The Pentagon has only months to release everything they know, and we spoke to two experts about it. But first, here's a look at the most notable UFO sightings and research to date on this Jeff Files UFO Report. You've heard the theories and seen the videos.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. My gosh.
Sightings of UFOs or unidentified flying objects date back decades.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
Let's start with this first credible one. It was 1947, and this pilot, Kenneth Arnold, claimed he saw a formation of flying saucers in Washington. He sent this sketch and letter to the military and FBI. Although they denied it, they became bombarded with requests.
Since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources.
And just a month after was the notorious Roswell incident in New Mexico. A rancher found mysterious wreckage on his land, and he was certain he saw a UFO and aliens.
There have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things.
The military initially said it was a flying disc, but then took back their statement and said it was actually a weather balloon. But not everyone agreed.
With all due respect to the Air Force, I believe that some of them will prove to be of interplanetary origin.
In the 50s and 60s, there were tons of UFO sightings reported around Area 51 in Nevada.
We can say that the recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any department of the United States.
But the government was lying. Area 51 was actually a secret military site all along, and the CIA finally admitted that in 2013. And then there was Project Blue Book. In 1948, the U.S. Air Force secretly began investigating thousands of UFO reports. But they ended that in 1969, saying they couldn't find any evidence of UFOs or threats to our national security. And finally, one of the most notable moments came in 2017 when a private company, To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences, released this. You see fast-moving objects captured by advanced infrared sensors. And you hear two Navy pilots stunned at how fast the objects are moving. One former top Pentagon official even publicly came out and said this.
My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
But it wasn't until April 2020 that the Pentagon officially released these videos and confirmed that they were real. But it's still unclear. Are they drones or UFOs? In December 2020, former President Donald Trump took it a step further when he signed a bill into law that demands U.S. intelligence to release all their UFO data and reports in 180 days.
I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
So, what is going on? Are these sightings just a coincidence?
Have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us.
Or are we actually closer to figuring out the truth?
It's almost as if these extraterrestrials are giving us a little bit here, a little bit there, and they're leading us somewhere, which we're ultimately going to find out very soon where this is going.
Earlier, I spoke to the Roswell investigators to see what they think about the Pentagon's upcoming report. Check it out. We're joined by Tom Carey and Don Schmidt. Guys, I'm so excited about this. Your research on UFO activity has been the theme of documentaries and books for decades. Thank you guys so much for coming on DBL. All right, guys, let's dive right in because we have a lot to cover. Now, there's a lot of theories out there on aliens and UFOs, but the Pentagon just admitted they've been holding and testing wreckage from UFO crashes. Now, do you think any of our technological advancements of the 20th century have to do with this very same testing?
As far as we're concerned, there are several things, such as the amalgam called nitinol, which is derived from the Roswell crash.
To me, it often smacks of, the level of human arrogance that still persists throughout the world. The idea that we would have anything of a higher level drop into our hands, no matter what the situation, and we'd be able to plug it right in and make it work, that type of thing.
Now, a new bill signed into law is requiring U.S. intelligence agencies to release everything they know, and they only have a few months left. So what else do you think they will share with us?
As little as they can. There will be an unclassified version of their report and also a classified version, which we will not see. And that's the one we would be interested in.
Yeah, I don't understand why they wouldn't release that information. I just watched a documentary about how presidents throughout history wanted to get this information out.
What politician is going to go before the American people and make such a pronouncement and still get reelected?
The government is holding 9 alien spacecraft.
I'm fascinated with Bob Lazar. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with him. And his coming forward in 1989 about all of his discoveries, Area 51, Element 115, which we just found out now is a legit element. A lot of his findings are coming to fruition right now.
What's interesting about Lazar, that if he is truly a whistleblower, we see in recent years what happens, like Edward Snowden, what happens when you actually do disclose sensitive information. But this may be part of that slow, incremental trickling of information.
So have you guys seen this Tic Tac video? I believe there's some footage out there that shows this video that looks just like a Tic Tac, but that defies the laws of gravity. Could you guys explain what this video is?
It has been declared valid by the Defense Department, albeit belatedly, but it is something I believe that has gotten everybody thinking seriously about this subject.
Regardless of what people believe, should they start caring about this because of all the information we have?
I'm a firm believer in the motto, "The truth shall set you free."
As I often like to tell people, that if we're wrong about this entire situation, it doesn't change anything. Everything remains status quo. But if we're right, it changes everything.
I love that. That's a perfect place to end there. Tom Carey and Don Schmidt, thank you so much for coming on DBL. I could talk to you guys all day. To learn more about their research and their award-winning books, visit RoswellInvestigator.com. We'll be right back, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Ooh, I love it. We will be right back.
Verify exists to fact check the things you read and see online. And we've seen a lot of posts like these popping up. People asking if they're lucky enough to get the COVID-19 vaccine, will it cause them to test positive on a COVID-19 test? What about an antibody test? Let's verify. Here are sources. An epidemiology expert, Dr. Michael Minna from Harvard University. An infectious diseases expert, Dr. Siham Majoub from Howard University. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Dr. Majoub says that the vaccine triggers your body to create an immune response and develop antibodies. However,
it does not mean that the vaccine is going to give you the actual virus in your nose, because the vaccine does not contain the actual virus.
Just like the CDC, our other expert also says that this is false.
And there's really no reason for the protein mRNA to make its way up into the nose where we're sampling.
So this is verified as false. The vaccines will not make you test positive for a viral test. But Dr. Majoub says that she has seen this situation. People unknowingly sick testing positive after getting vaccinated. But that's not caused by the vaccine itself. That just means they had COVID-19 before they got the jab. Okay, what about the antibody test? Could the vaccine cause you to test positive for that? The CDC says that the answer is yes, it's possible. Minna explains that it depends on what specific protein the antibody test you get is looking for.
Antibody tests very well will turn positive after somebody gets a vaccine if they're looking for antibodies against the spike protein or any of the other subunits and proteins that are in the vaccine. But they will not turn positive if it's an antibody looking for nucleocapsid, which a lot of them are.
With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
DBL is all new every day.
Don't look at me like with that face, because I'm telling you how I feel.
I'm not buying his story.
No, I'm just being honest. He's trying to get clout.
I'm going to wear a 10-gallon hat.
Stick with us in 2021. We're going to have a great year.
Welcome back to DBL. Protecting your assets is so important. So if you're thinking about retiring soon, we have some financial tips for you to help you out. It's time for Security Alert, sponsored by LifeLock. First, whether you're approaching retirement now or in a few years, take full advantage of your employer's matching funds for your 401k contributions. Very important. Second, keep an emergency fund of at least 6 to 12 months of expenses before you start retirement. Finally, don't stop budgeting. Know how much you can spend every month, pay off all your credit cards, and don't wait until retirement to take all your big expensive vacations. Do it now. When it comes to your money and retirement, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock protects you from identity theft and more. Just call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn a little bit more. Did I sell that?
Yeah, you did. If only we could all go on vacation.
I know that. I threw in the vacation part. That wasn't LifeLock, but I really want to go on vacation. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great note to do it now. You know, like when you can still run and climb mountains. Go on a vacation.
Almost there, buddy. Almost there. Almost there. All right, guys. We're new every day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then.
DBL.